What's going on, top 10 nerd family, and welcome back to the nerdiest page on YouTube ever. End of story. That's it. Superman. He's one of the most popular DC superheroes for good reason. He's super memorable, whether it's the red cape or the big giant S pasted onto his chest. Whatever it is, we don't really forget about this guy. The symbolic S has been used in pop culture many times, and of course, the odds are that one of you at some point pretended like you were Superman are pretty high. Maybe you threw a towel over your shoulder and started jumping around. One time when I was little, this is a true story, I watched Superman on TV. So then I took the couch cushions off and then put them on the ground, and then I jumped on the flat springy part of the couch and I would do flips onto the cushions. Pretty sweet, right? No, that is until a spring popped out and cut through my toe, and my toe almost popped off. Needless to say, the Superman family has been inspiring kids to do some pretty crazy stuff. I'm Taylor McWatters, and in no particular order because they're all way too similar, here are the top 10 most powerful Superman family members. Number 10, Cal Kent. Yep, kicking off the list at number 10, we got Cal Kent, aka the future Superman. Yeah, I said future Superman. Your ears work fine. Coming from the 853rd century, making his debut in JLA, issue 23 back in 1998, this Superman looks very similar to our normal Superman that we would normally recognize. And he includes all the Kryptonian powers as well, but he is from the future. So he's got some extra powers, which is pretty scary considering Superman is already pretty overpowered. He can even punch through time. Guys, he can punch through time. He has telepathy, he has telekinesis, and super thought? Yeah, that's right. He can figure out a bunch of math problems at the same time. That's the future brain right there. Oh, and also, don't even get me started on force vision. That's just unfair, to say the least. And number 9, Superwoman Lois Lane. First making her comic book debut in 1938 in Action Comics number 1, Lois Lane is the love interest of Supes himself. She was a reporter for the Daily Planet. On a different number of occasions, Clark's one true love, Lois Lane, has actually gained his abilities and taken on the mantle of, yep, you guessed it, Superwoman. Most notably among these was when Superman created the exogenes formula. That was designed so that Lois could pretty much feel the same things that Superman was feeling. So if he was flying and doing some Superman stuff, she would feel that too. They were like connected. She was actually able to replicate Kal-El's abilities at the same power levels because the number of times she's been powered up. She doesn't really make the top of the list, but she's definitely still up there and counts as a superhero or another version of Superman. So we can't not include her, obviously. Number 8, Superboy. Also known as Connor, or even cooler, Con-El. He made his debut in 1993 Adventures of Superman issue 500. Superboy was created to essentially be a replacement for Superman. So after Superman died fighting Doomsday, Project Cadmus then used Kryptonian DNA to make Superboy. They wanted a new hero. They wanted to feel safe, so why not just make a clone of the caped hero? Not a bad idea at all. Cadmus wasn't able to get Superman's DNA, so they grabbed a human clone and made it look like him. Cause, I mean, you know, close enough. Well, it turns out if you put a clone near the grave of a dead Supe, you get some powers. See, Superman's bioelectric aura was absorbed by the clone, and thus was given tactile telekinesis, which means you can simulate the powers of Superman. For a small amount of time, he even rocked the high-tech visor to solve that problem, even giving him heat and X-ray vision. The whole t-shirt, the goggles, it's a good combo. I dig it. He looks cool. Number 7, Superboy. But this time, it's Jonathan Samuel Kent. Cool middle name too. My middle name's Douglas, and that's, you know, my middle name's Douglas. He's fairly new to the game, only making his first appearance in Convergence Superman issue 2, and he's actually going to be in a live-action show titled Superman and Lois, coming out on the CW next year, or hopefully next year, with the world being the world. With Jordan Elsass playing none other than Jonathan Kent himself. And we can't wait. The creator of the character, Dan Jurgens, says that Jonathan looks like Clark Kent, but he has the Lois Spitfire attitude and inquisitiveness. And if you've seen Little Fires Everywhere, you should be pretty excited to see him play the character. I think my favorite thing about this dude is his disguise. He just rocks the shades and baseball cap and becomes more cool somehow. And his actual outfit, don't even get me started. The ripped jeans, the red sneaks. This was like every guy that I went to high school with. Like I saw him and I'm like, oh, that looks like Brad, or Mike, or Dylan, or Dave, or Tom. The hoodie slash cape situation too, nice touch. Even cooler about this guy is that he's friends with the other super son, Damian Wayne. They got on each other's nerves, sure, but that's what happens when two dudes are being dudes. They always end up teaming together when it mattered anyway, so you gotta love Jonathan Kent. And number 6, Super Pets. Of course, I have to include the dog. I mean, whenever people would ask me about my family members, I would always include the little doggos. Krypto was actually the test pilot for the ship that carried baby Kal-El to Earth. Kind of like when humans launched that space dog, Laika, into orbit in 1957. The only difference was that Krypto, Superdog, his ship went off course, and the dude ended up drifting into space for years. That's even longer in dog years. I mean, poor dude. I'd be so bored. No milk bones on board or anything for this guy? Come on. That's a lie. I actually really want to go to space. But don't worry, Krypto's ship ended up finding Kal-El's ship after it landed on Earth. So when Kal-El was a teenager, this dog just landed from space. That would be a cool birthday gift. Here's a space dog. Go check your front lawn. So you're probably thinking, does this dog also have superpowers? Yes, of course, or he wouldn't be on this list. If for some reason you only want to read about Krypto, you can start with Adventure Comics issue 210. And if that wasn't weird enough, there's also a super cat in the mix. That's right, Streaky the super cat. The two pets ended up joining the League of Super Pets, which is pretty hilarious and kind of cool. I'd watch that series. That was a Netflix series, I'd dive in. Number 5, Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. Much like how Krypto was sent to Earth, Superman's older cousin, Kara Zor-El, was also sent to Earth. She was sent from the dying planet Krypton, of course, to protect Clark Kent. Well, rather, Kal-El. But of course, as fate would have it, she was knocked off course by the explosion of her home planet. Bummer. So she ended up in the Phantom Zone. Now, in the Phantom Zone, you can stay there for decades and not age. And that's actually what Kara did. After her pod finally escaped, she landed on Earth and soon joined the Danvers family. Imagine a 13-year-old girl just falling out of the sky. Like, how many are there? Holy shit. Now, of course, if you want to see her in action, you can catch the hit show Supergirl. Only 3 different actors have played her, the most recent and current run being portrayed by Melissa Benoist. If you start binging it now, you can probably catch up for the 6th and final season that is supposedly airing next year. But if you want to start reading from her comic book origins, you can find her first debut in Action Comics issue 252. Number 4, Powergirl. Zara Zor-El is Earth 2's older counterpart of Supergirl, hence why I put her here in the list. Wild, right? He's crazy. If it's confusing, just know that in order to tell the difference, it's spelled with a letter L rather than the other Supergirl, who is EL. So making her first comic book debut back in All-Star Comics 1976, Kara Zor-El, or rather Powergirl, was sent to Earth the same time as Superman, but her ship was way slower, so she arrived much later. So that was their way of sneaking another character in there and trying to make it make sense. And it worked. We bought it. I'm a fan of Powergirl. She's a badass. This girl doesn't take anything. Her origins have changed multiple times, like now she's Atlantean, and she in fact can hold kryptonite too. Doesn't hurt her. So that's wild. Like I said, badass. If you're wondering what does hurt Powergirl, the answer is wood. Yeah, she doesn't do too well against natural elements of Earth, so if you're thinking about doing a camping trip, I don't think Kara Zor-El will be down for said trip. Number 3, Nightwing, Lor-Zod. He is the son of General Zod and Ursa. They gave birth to him in the Phantom Zone, and you guessed it, he arrived by pod to Earth. The classic. It's like Uber. Like, hey, you getting a pod? Yeah, I'm gonna get a pod. In like 2 decades though. I'll be a little bit late. So this young boy was lifting TV sets over his head, and everybody was soon looking his direction, being like, how is this possible? So the Department of Metahuman Affairs, or that one doesn't work, decided to take the boy to a secret place in Washington to do tests and all that jazz. But they didn't tell Superman. Eeks. So he was pretty pissed. He broke Lor-Zod out and then convinced Lois to adopt the young boy, naming him Christopher Kent. And yes, he's also immune to kryptonite, but of course he's got the superpowers to go along with it. The most unique ability Christopher Kent has is that of telekinesis. And number 2, MonEl. When MonEl arrived to Earth, people of course assumed it was a brother of Superman or something along those lines. I mean, these guys are falling out of the sky every other day. I mean, what else is new? So yeah, he's got some similar powers as the Man of Steel, but the thing that makes him stand out the most is the fact that this guy's weakness is lead. Yeah, like pencil lead. Lead. Never ask this guy to take notes. You might literally kill him. Making his comic book debut in Superboy Volume 1, Issue 89 in 1961, he's also known as Lar-Gand. He's immune to kryptonite, of course. I mean, he's got the lead problem, so you can't make him weak to kryptonite. That would just be unfair. MonEl got his name simply by the day of the week he arrived. He arrived to Earth on a Monday, so Clark Kent named him MonEl. The L, of course, matching Superman's maiden name. And finally, number 1, Superman. Of course, I'm saving the man himself for our last spot. There's been so many movies and TV shows for Batman and Superman that at this point it becomes a full-on conversation when it comes to who plays the Caped Crusaders on the big screen the best. See, I personally think Henry Cavill is a great Superman, and it's honestly a shame that he's not down to reshoot footage for the Justice League Snyder Cut. I mean, I get it, it's probably not easy to wake up early, get ripped, and do stuff like that. I mean, you know, you have a job, you're doing other gigs, but like all that hype around the director's cut, just throw a cape on, go punch some stuff, we'll do the rest, we'll CGI the rest. His origins go back to Action Comics #1, way back, I'm talking 1938. That's like as old as my grandma or someone's grandma, probably. So after his homeworld Krypton was dying, Kal-El was sent to Earth after being adopted by the Kent family. He soon discovered that he was able to run faster than a train. So something must be up at this point. The Kents told Clarky that people will be afraid of him if he doesn't just play it cool, you know? I mean, and we saw this in Man of Steel when he pulls the bus out of the water. The kids weren't too chill about that. Grateful, but also super questionable. His foster parents, of course, gave him the name Kent. His foster mother Martha and father Jonathan. Look, a lot of people give Batman vs Superman a hard time because of the whole Martha turning point at the climax. Look, I personally like that moment. Everybody always says, oh, why wouldn't he say mom? Why did he say Martha? That's weird. No, why would a dying man be like, save my mom, her name's Mom? No, he's a detective. I'm sure Superman had the idea that maybe, just maybe, Batman would be able to figure out that Martha Kent is in some sort of trouble. Or at least there's a better odds than if he said mom. Plus, this Dark Knight Returns type version of Batman that we saw probably needed to hear his mom's name to remind him why he put on the cape in the first place. So let's stop arguing about that scene now. I think it's fine. It's fine. Let it go. And of course, as we also saw in that movie, Superman's main weakness is kryptonite. And Batman almost ends the Man of Steel himself by using a kryptonite spear. But of course, Superman's greatest foe is none other than Lex Luthor, who I'm gonna save for another video because that guy is a piece of work. Well, there you have it, guys. Now, I know there's many more Superman family members that we can talk about, either clones, alternate versions, whatever the case. There's quite a bit, so it's only fair if we leave a couple fun ones for part 2. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video. And also, if you're not subscribed, go do that right now and then head over and click those notifications on. That way, when we do live premieres of videos, you can hop in the chat with us and we can geek out and talk shop together. I'm Taylor McWatters. See you next time.